Relax. Just breathe. Think. I can do this. I have a bit of a problem. Maybe you can help. I have some things I need to dispose of. In fact, I kind of need them to
decompose.
And I'm going to use these steel drums to do just that. So, if you maybe have a similar problem like I have, stick around. I'll show you how to fix it. Yeah, stick around. Ouch. Sorry. Hello? Can I get out now? It's dark in here. Is that a spider? Spider! I bought these steel drums online, and I think they're going to work perfectly for what I need. And what I need is a compost bin. So hang around, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and if you'd like to know when I upload my next video, give that bell a ring-a-ding-ding too. I thank you for supporting my channel. It is very, very much appreciated. And welcome to the Morning Wood Worker. Cue the intro. I found so many designs online for both vertical and horizontal compost bins from steel and plastic 55-gallon drums. The horizontal models all had a door that was cut from the side of the drum. That requires a lot of cutting and grinding and aligning hinges. But these drums already come with a large lid that's held on pretty tight with these metal bands. And the opening here is going to give me a lot more access to the inside of these drums when I need to do some work. So for simplicity's sake, I'll be going with a dual vertical design. I have just a very rough idea in my head how I'm going to build this thing. So I'll be pulling most of my measurements on the fly. And chances are I'll be changing the design a time or two along the way. But I'll include all the measurements I used along with a list of the materials down in the description below. The materials I need are pretty minimal and affordable. Some 2x4s, a 2x6, a little plywood, some PVC, some caulk, galvanized pipe, and of course the drums. I like to keep my projects as inexpensive as possible, so most of the materials I'm using I already had on hand. With that in mind, here's the design I came up with. I'll be using the galvanized pipe as the main support for the drums. When these are full, they're going to be pretty heavy, so I'll need the extra support there. I'll be attaching 1.5-inch PVC to the drums to act as a sleeve around the galvanized. This will keep the openings in the drums from cutting into the pipe. It should make them easier to spin, and it'll keep the wet compost off of all the metal parts. It will also help a bit with aeration. Allowing fresh air to circulate through the bin helps break down the compost faster and reduces odors and mold from forming. So I'll be adding a design I saw that uses, you guessed it, more PVC. But I'm changing it just a bit. The design called for a single piece of PVC attached to the bottom and extending up through the middle. That looked a little flimsy to me considering the weight of the compost that's going to be rolling around in there. So I'm adding 3 more pieces to support it from the inside. They will all have openings to the outside and holes drilled along their lengths to allow even more airflow. All right, let's get started. Remember earlier when I said I might be changing the plan up a little bit? Well, here it comes. When I was out shopping for some extra PVC, I ran across these really cool 4-way connectors. I didn't even know these things existed. I know nothing about plumbing. But these are going to greatly simplify the assembly of this project. Instead of trying to come up with some crazy angles to cut those 3 pieces of PVC to join the one that's attached to the bottom, I can just bore a hole in the middle of this one, mount it on top here, and now I can come off in 4 directions with the rest of the PVC, glue it all in place, and I'm done. I need another piece. So with that out of the way, I'm going to start drilling holes in these drums. So if you would, walk this way. Why would anybody want to walk this way? These drums have a lip around the outside edge that makes it hard to get an accurate measurement through the center. So I'm using an old carpenter's trick. I'm scribing 3 lines in random locations along the outside edge. Once I find the center of these lines, I can scribe a 3rd line at a 90-degree angle. Where the 3 lines intersect is dead center. Here I'm drilling a pilot hole to use a fly bit circle cutter. These are typically used for cutting through wood, but I don't have any metal cutting hole saws. So I'm using the fly bit just to score the paint so I know where to use my angle grinder. Next, I'll use some precision tools to get perfectly round holes. A quick test to make sure the PVC fits, and it's back to the workbench. I need to cut 4 holes equally spaced around these drums. So I'm finding the center between the 2 ridges to start my first hole. Once I get a self-tapping sheet metal screw installed, I'll hook my tape measure and wrap it around the drum to find the other 3 locations. Once again, I'll use the fly bit to mark the 4 hole locations. And the angle grinder to throw some more sparks. Some more custom fitted holes, and we're ready for the next step. This time I'm going to use the fly bit for a purpose it was actually intended for. I'll center the bit over the connector, clamp the pipe down and cut out the hole. A perfect fit. The PVC is all cut to length and ready for the aeration holes. I made this quick and dirty jig that I can clamp down to the drill press so that when I drill those holes, they all go through there real nice and straight. This is what it's going to look like once they're installed in the drums. The long piece of pipe is going to go through the bottom and the four shorter ones go out through the sides. I have to be careful how I put this together because the galvanized is going to go through this section here, and I have to make sure that there's enough clearance once I get this piece in place. So before I do all that, I have to lay out the areas where I'm going to drill my holes and head over to the drill press. Let's do that now. I'm using the drilling guide to hold the pipe steady while I draw straight lines down their lengths. I was only going to draw 2 lines on each pipe because I planned on drilling through both sides at the same time. But it turns out the drill bit I wanted to use for this project isn't going to work, so I'll be using a step drill bit and drilling each hole one at a time. I'm not really concerned that my lines are perfectly straight or spaced evenly around the pipes, as long as the holes are relatively straight and the holes in each line are staggered. This ain't rocket science, and none of it's going to be seen anyway. I added a stop block at the end of the jig and cut notches every 1.5 inches. This will allow me to drill the holes 3 inches apart and stagger them on each row. Now that all the hole locations are marked, we can head over to the drill press. I tightened the step bit in the chuck and positioned the jig so it would line up with the drill holes. Once the jig is clamped down and I've got the bit set to the proper depth, I can start drilling these holes. I clamped my vacuum hose just behind the bit, hoping it would clear away the shavings. But the step bit made shavings that were just too thick and heavy for the vacuum, so I just had to settle on making a mess. I think these will work out fine. Hey, okay, I'm just about ready to assemble these drums, but I got to make a little change. I was going to put a piece of PVC right here to space these drums apart, but I noticed when I was dry fitting everything together that the pieces going through the bottoms are just a little bit too short. I don't know why. I cut them twice. Anyway, I have to recut and re-drill those too. But the good news is I can use the old ones here and here because they're just a little bit longer and I won't need a spacer. Yeah. This is all the PVC that I'll be using for this project. Each drum will have 5 pieces inside altogether. The longest piece will be extending out through the bottom, and these 4 here will be extending out through the sides. These 2 longest pieces will be butted together in the middle to act as a spacer to keep the drums from banging into each other. I also cut a bunch of rings out of the same material and cut a slice through them like that so that I can use that as a clamp to hold all this in place once everything's glued together, and that will keep everything from shifting back and forth and up and down and creating any type of problems. I went ahead and I'm going to use standard PVC cement. I just think that, yes, well, that's what I'm going to use. I'm using the cement. Is that okay? Thank you. I just think it'll be a lot easier, a lot cleaner. Exactly. And a lot less mess than like a caulk or a liquid nail. So everything is primered and ready to go. All I have to do next is secure my barrel down onto the bench and get the glue and all this stuff together. What do you think? Is that going to work? Hey, yo, that going to work? Now nothing. Okay. Here we are. Let's do this. Get on with it. Okay, let's get on with it. All of the PVC is now glued together. I did some of the glue up off camera just to save a little bit of time, but now I'm ready to test this to see how well it spins on this piece of galvanized pipe. This is the piece I'll be using for the project. I have it strapped to my bench, and we'll see how it works. There you go. I like it. Okay, that thing spins exactly the way I would like it to, and I'll show you what the inside looks like just so you can see how this whole thing is put together. You can see, of course, the piece of pipe coming out of the bottom, the other pieces going out through the sides, and that's what it looks like on the inside. So you can see plenty of aeration holes, plenty of material in there to mix the compost around when I give it a spin once in a while. And that's absolutely beautiful. So the next part of this project will be building the frame to hang these bad boys on. And that's coming up next, so stick around. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Go for a ride? Wanna go for a ride? Yeah, I wouldn't take Kitty for a ride. Both barrels are finished, which means now I get to do what woodworkers love to do best, and that is work with wood. So this is the material I'm going to be using for the framework. I've got some 4x4s for the leg pieces, some 2x6s to support the galvanized pipe, and some 2x4s to tie both pieces together. I went ahead and cut the angles in these leg pieces. Number one, I wanted to make sure they were going to be long enough. These were just some scraps I had laying around. But I wanted to make sure this angle here wasn't so deep that it put too much stress on this joint. So I went with about a 50-degree angle right here, and that's about what you're looking at there. And I think that's going to make that joint plenty strong enough and still have the legs spread out far enough that as I'm spinning these drums around, that weight coming at me doesn't topple the whole contraption down on top of me. So that's very important. So the next thing we're going to do is figure out how we're going to cut all this stuff and put it all together. So it's time to make some sawdust. I've already taken some measurements, so I know how long the legs will be. Now I'm just making some marks so I know at what angle the legs need to be cut. My miter saw won't extend to 50 degrees, so I'm making these cuts with my circular saw. It'll work just as well, it just makes a lot more dust. Temporarily attaching the legs together because I'm going to cut out a section so I can attach the uprights with a lap joint. there are safer ways to do this, but it's a brand new blade. I'm keeping my fingers far away from it, and I'm not in the way of a kickback. This lap joint is going to add a lot more strength to these legs. And some diagonal bracing just in case. I decided to add some plywood gussets on either side. I'm not taking any chances with this. I decided not to record attaching the horizontal pieces to the two ends. That was just a matter of taking a measurement between the drums and adding a few inches. Well, folks, this project is finally finished, and so is this video. If you watched it to the very end, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. The only thing left to do now is to disassemble it and reassemble it in the backyard. If you enjoyed this video, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to be notified the next time I upload more content, hit that bell icon as well. I thank you very much for supporting my channel. It means a great deal to me. And I will see you next time on The Morning Wood Worker.